you ever go back and look at an old build and think, man, I could do that place so much better now? Yeah, that's the case here. I first built this place, that part up there, the wooden part, back in 2011. It was Minecraft Beta 1.6.4. And then through 1.6.4 and then into 1.7, Beta 1.7, I got that station built and this mushroom farm that very soon afterwards became irrelevant, and this sugarcane farm, reed farm, whatever, got that going back then. I started eventually trying to do a little bit of remodeling. That's what this slabs out here is all about, was so that I could navigate around here without having to do all this jumpy every bit. You know, never cared for all of that. And in here, you notice everything is oak wood. Of course, back then, oak wood planks is the only kind of planks we had for a long time. Yes, we had birch trees and spruce trees and so on, and you could get the birch and spruce logs, but the planks all came out the same. But I've been looking at this place, and I would love to remodel it, and I think I'm going to at some point. Fairly, sort of, kind of, almost soonish. How's that for vague? But other things need to do first. I have been back to the portal, to the nether side of this place, and the ladderway going up to the nether roof is now enclosed. It's not pretty, it's just cobblestone, but it's enclosed. And this place is pretty much about ready for the moving on. And what I need to do now is basically I need to make a tour of all the bases and make sure everything is ready with whatever, you know. So I am going to pick up some things from the main base, and I am going to meet you at the next location. As much as I love the scenery, and I know some others do as well, I'm going to cut out all the travel time. So we'll see you at the next location. Okay, here we go. Haven't been through this portal in a long time. And apparently I'm not alone in it. Well, somebody's been through it. You, get out of here. Oy, oy, oy. Huh. Okay. Not much here. This here is the site of, well, originally it was a failed passive mob spawn project. The idea originally was to remove all spawnable surfaces for passive mobs. Everything. All of the grass and dirt. And my idea was to go ahead and bring everything down to a level where I could just flood the whole place. And that spawning room over there is well lit inside and has grass spawning pads. The idea was to make this a perfect place for passive animal spawns. Pigs and cows and sheep and chickens and so on and so forth. And then Beta 1.8 come along. It changed passive mob spawning big time and introduced animal breeding. All of a sudden, this thing was completely irrelevant. And, yeah. Okay. Okay, so there's no portal here. And this is the main section of the place. Yeah, I way over torched it back in those days. But what can I say? I was a noob. In any event, I think the main thing I'm going to do is just, I'm going to make sure this place has a ender chest. I brought along the fixings for them. Actually, how about I just go ahead and make up a mess of them. And let's see where to put it. How about right over there? There. I can just throw those in there. All right. So that's good. And I'll put another one back there in the portal room. And what I eventually came to think of this place as the future site of Surface of the Moon Lake. Because as you can see, it's been redecorated in early Surface of the Moon. Yeah, this is one of the places where I used a lot of the... This is probably the one place where I've used the most TNT. Because I built these rigs up over the top of the terrain, hooked it up with TNT and redstone and whatnot, and dropped TNT on this place. I pretty much bombed it. You know, nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. And that's kind of sort of what I did. And then I come along and afterwards just remove the top layers of the surface inside this, well, on my overworld map, you can see there is a square ring of netherrack around the place. That netherrack border defined the area where all of the surface had to be removed. And that spawning room is in the middle of the place. All right, let's just throw another one down there. All right. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to revisit this project someday because I think that if this thing is turned into a complete lake, that thing as a passive mob spawning thing might just work out. So I'm going to try it someday, and who knows, maybe I can just turn it into some kind of a resort, a man-made resort with, you know, with a large man-made lake, 1 maybe 2 blocks deep, and yeah. Anyway, I'm on to the next location. Oh, I forgot. Yes, this place does have rooftop access. Okay, so onwards. All right. Now, this place wasn't nearly so much as a failure as the last one. I mean, in a way, sort of kind of a little bit fail, because when I started construction here, this place was swampland that bordered on taiga. And then Beta 1.8 came along with changes in the terrain generation algorithms, and all of a sudden, presto changeo, this went from being swampland to being ice plains. Yeah. We've got here the country estate. We have a cow farm and pig farm over there that I eventually built a few versions later. This is where I get all of my beef. I usually keep a couple or 300 cows here and similar numbers of pigs. The Cluckomatic. Mess of chickens in there. They drop eggs. And we find out that I have way too many eggs. Way too many. And yes, this bit of redstone should have been underneath, but I was lucky to get it working at all. Never mind make it pretty. Yeah. Lots of eggs. Basically, you turn this on and it fires starts a clock on a dispenser firing eggs in there to spawn the chickens. And then when you were done with them, you flip this to squash the chickens, and since chickens were then delivering, I believe that was when chickens first started to deliver meat when we killed them. So yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of work I need to do around here too, bringing things up to date and fixing some things like this barn. I built this barn back in release 1.7 when the horses were first a thing. I didn't realize at the time that horses were 2 blocks wide and that a single fence gate for a stall was just not going to cut it. So this barn needs to be remodeled. I do have a couple of horses here and more out at the horse ranch, which is about 8,000 blocks that way. Yeah. Oh. The only good chicken is a sandwich. Yeah, I know. It's terrible of me, but there you go. Anyway, this place is pretty much in gear. We've got ender chests and nether roof access and skeletons in my house. Wait just a cotton picking minute. You see all this glowstone in the floor? All the skeletons in the house is the reason it's there. All this glowstone here. He didn't just wander in from outside. It's daytime. Oh, I'm going to have to come back and revisit lighting, obviously. But in the meantime, I'm off to the next location. All right, here we are at Ocean Outpost number 1. Now, I deliberately sought this area out, a nice wide area of ocean, as far as you can see in any direction, even on max render distance. And it was for the purpose of building this mob tower here. Now, well, as you can see, it is working a little bit. It has since grown a flaw. When I built it, the fence posts here, items would fall through in fence post arranged like this, most especially when you use pistons to shift them back and forth. All the items would fall through into the collection stream down below. I was working on coming up with a clock mechanism for this. Somewhere along the line they changed it so that the pistons had a full block, and now stuff comes in here and just bounces on it. A few things get through, as you saw, but not very much. So I need to work out a change for that will work. Just simply as a challenge to turn this into something that works. Whether I need it or not is irrelevant. And yeah. Now let's see. The tracks that come in here, this is basically the epic track. That back that way, about 2,200 blocks, is the main station back at spawn. And out this way, out at a grand total of about 9,000 blocks from spawn, is the next stop, which is a station at the, well, it's not quite a station, it's a parking spot at the very end of the epic track, which happens to be at the overworld location that corresponds to the Blaze Farm. So, I'm off to there next. Okay, here we are, Ocean Outpost number 2. This one is way out there. Yeah. And this track, although sometimes known as the epic track because of how long it is, it goes all the way back to the main base at spawn. And it takes 20 minutes in real time to ride from here back to the station. An entire Minecraft day will pass during the trip. Yeah. Needless to say, I don't use that very often. Usually, I arrive in a portal down here from the nether. Now down here there is a abandoned mine shaft, or perhaps a series of them, that I never did get a whole lot of exploration done. I mainly cleared things out so that it was safe to come through this portal from the Blaze Farm, which is also in this area. And yeah, we've got our nether rooftop access. The main thing I've been doing at these places that have rooftops is going up there and placing a sign so that when I arrive at one of these things on the nether rooftop, I actually have some clue as to where the heck I am. And yeah, back in release 1.2.5, there was a neat little trick. You could place ice in the nether and break it to get water flow. That was cool. I did this waterfall thing there with that, and I also used that trick so that I could have a wheat farm here. I think someday I want to expand this farm, which of course means stretching it out that way and down so that the water will continue to go, because if this water source block is ever picked up, I'll never be able to put it back down. Yeah, so that's this area. Enchanting table, I think this was my second one. And Blaze Farm, designed by Etho, based on his design. It's a good one, works beautifully, and built this back in the day when you had to have 50 levels of XP if you wanted to get a max level enchant. Yeah. Anyway, everything is pretty much set here. I think I'm going to drop an ender chest up top side and then move on to the next location. Alright, here we come to the Ice Castle. I started work on this late in beta 1.8, and then continued through the beta 1.9 pre-releases when it became possible to get ice by Silk Touch. And yeah, ended up doing this. I started out, I was kind of taking advantage of the winter biome here, and I had this thing where I was framing out each layer with dirt, pouring water into it and letting it freeze in place to build the walls. And then 1.9 came along with Silk Touch enchantments, and that changed a whole lot. Now, this is another one that I got to a certain point and I couldn't figure a good way to continue. And I know this needs a whole lot more done to it. But at the moment, for a long time, I didn't have a whole lot of a clue. The one thing I do have here is I've got my first enchanting table set up here. And remember, back in the day, you actually had to have 30 bookcases and 50 levels in order to get the best enchants. This is the first potion brewing station I put together. This one was actually meant for some heavy-duty use. I had loads of ingredients and stuff here. Everything anybody could possibly need for enchanting, at least, or for brewing, at least back in those days. I think there's been a few things added to it since then. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe these snow golems I may need to be replacing those with iron golems. Don't know. I remember I tried making up some iron golems and just turning them loose to walk around the area, and they wandered off. I have no idea where they ended up. But yeah. And of course I had a really ugly construction shack up here, as you can see. Mostly where I had a bed and some storage for things, so on. not a whole lot. There is a branch mine here, of course. I do that a lot. And a small wheat farm, my first pumpkin farm. This one is not automated, and it should have been, because this one was. This melon farm is automated. Just hit the lever, and if I'd have used a button, that would have been a lot better. Just do that, collect all the stuff, and throw it in there. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I do want to do updated melon and pumpkin farms. Mumbo has a design that is really fantastic. It's completely automatic, and I want to use that in this world sometime. So maybe I'll get around to doing that. In the meantime, we have more places to go. Well, back about somewhere around episode 200 or so, I decided to do something. I got away from all of my established stuff, which is all off that way. And I basically put everything away and started out with some very bare bones starting stuff and just started walking to the west. I called it going on walkabout. And I explored a good bunch of territory, and eventually I found myself here in what I have come to call Epic Desert. So called because the thing is huge. I mean, look at all of this, and this is where I found the first completely intact village in this world. And the villagers didn't survive very long. I didn't realize at the time that one had to take steps to protect them from the zombies, more than just lighting up the area, and so on. And up here on this mountain, which actually looks pretty cool from down below, I had decided I wanted to build a house up here, and this was a temporary construction shack, etc., and so on. And I was going to do some more with it, and I have another level that comes down here, and over, and then down to here. And this is the first of two levels on an area here that kind of goes across from that peak over to this. Then that, of course, was a temporary beginning shack for access to the inevitable branch mine. Another enchanting setup, because when it first happened, that when they first set it up so that mining certain materials like coal, lapis, diamond, and things that drop multiple stuff, that would give XP. And I decided to do a challenge here. I went into my branch mine and I started mining, and at 50 levels of XP per item, I enchanted full set of gear with XP obtained from mining. I thought that was so cool. Down here, second level of it, this is more an observation deck. A great view of the desert, jungle over there in the distance, and I believe there is some more jungle and taiga over that way. And, of course, there is swamp. There is always swamp, it seems. And over here, this ties right into the tunnel, the shaft that goes down into the branch mine. But right here, there is a ground level access to get over there, where I built. Yes, you can recognize the shape of it. It's another mob farm. This one is a piston-based thing, where mobs spawn in there and the pistons push them off. And they come down here. I spent ages underground in this area lighting up tons and tons of stuff. And yeah, now this was before hoppers. And so as a way for an item collection system, basically I would put all my stuff in a chest, and then I would get in a minecart and just ride circles around this, picking up stuff as it fell. Yeah. kind of crazy. Let's see. I need to check out that portal. I think there should be some cobblestone here. Yeah, there's a little bit. That's enough. Melon and wheat and pumpkin farms. A little bit of a minor cactus farm. A little bit of a reed farm. Didn't need a whole lot of that going on. This was my first fishing shack. I don't remember why I was fishing, but this was the first place I did that. And over here in this bit of jungle is the first place that I picked up cats, the ocelots, and managed to tame a few of them. Anyway, let's see. This thing needs to be modernized. I need to get in here with some construction materials and a stack or two of hoppers and build a real automatic collection system here. This little dodgy thing, no, that's not going to cut the mustard anymore. But up there, you can see what that looks like from here. I had started to expand the top part, and I was really serious. I wanted to build a good size, nice house, castle, something or other up there. It just practically screamed for it, and it still does. So someday, perhaps with new materials and things available in later versions, I might be able to have some more inspiration and get some stuff done up there, because that really, really needs to be finished. In any event, I need to stop here at the portal. I need to make a note of some coordinates and check the nether side of this and see if there's rooftop access. If there is, I have to go up there and put up a sign. And if not, I need to make a note to drill a hole up there. Okay, here we come to what I call Stronghold Station. And you can guess its purpose by the fact that the track bed is made of endstone. Up here I have, if I can hit the stair, I have a bedroom which is hideously empty. I've got a little bit of decor in it, but not nearly enough. It needs a lot of work. This area out here needs work, and a lot of this stuff needs to be moved into more appropriate places. And frankly, the building itself needs work because it needs some kind of a real roof. It's just flat up there. I mean, it doesn't have mob spawns because there's glowstone up there. But yeah, it needs work. And anyway, down here is the third stronghold. Now, the location of the first stronghold turned out to be an abandoned mine shaft because it was generated in beta 1.8 before strongholds were added. So there is a mine shaft and a ravine there, but there is no stronghold, even though various and sundry tools to find strongholds in your world say that there should be one there. It isn't because it was generated before they were added. Then there is a second stronghold that is accessible via a branch in the track that goes out to the country estate. And then this is the third one. And I went looking for this one simply because a lot of people said that it wouldn't be there. But I found it. Here it is. It works. And now I need to head in there. Okay, here we are. Not exactly a pretty base, but it was effective. And I had all these plans of fighting the dragon and having all my super fantastic gear at the time, and ended up getting kicked off the side of the island and falling into the void and losing most of it, if not all of it. Well, everything I had on me at the time. But I did eventually defeat the dragon, and I set up an ender off this way. Now this is it's a Panda 4994 design based on a tutorial by Doc M. really good, really effective, and OMG, I don't ever want to have to build that again. It goes from Y0, that's where I'm at right now, Y0, all the way up to 128. And I seem to recall there was reason of some kind or another to not go higher up than that. Something about chunk loading or searching and whatnot. Got a number of enchanted books and stuff here. I may take some time and get some more of them made up. I got various tools and whatnot. Enchanting setup, more books, and chest upon chest of ender pearls. I don't know why I ever bothered to save this many of them. Yeah. Well, anyway, the main reason for the trip here was to check out the Stronghold Station, but as it turns out, there is no portal there, and I think with that one, I'm not going to put one there. Because while portals are all handy and good, and it is a lot faster traveling through the Nether, there is something to be said for only being able to access a place by rail or by walking or something like that. You know, roads, railways, and stuff like that, because the Nether portals are cool, they're faster, and so on, but in my opinion, there's times when they lack a certain amount of soul that a good old-fashioned minecart rail system can do. And this is a place I built around the end portal that goes back. And yeah, it's going to be interesting when this world moves into a version where there's end islands and stuff like that. I'm going to be interested to see how that affects things in the end here. But onward. No, I'm not going to sit through that. Anywho, there is one more place to visit. I apparently forgot to do that. And this place is probably one of the farthest out actual base setups at all. And it involves about 1,000 block run through the Nether, so I'll catch you there. All right, finally getting to the end of this thing. That is a long road. About 1,100 blocks through the Nether. 1,000, 1,100, something like that. Lots of stuff here. Long travel. Now, this one, that pathway up there, my next big project coming up very soon, as in between this episode and next, I'm going to start gathering the materials together. And there's going to be a nether track coming down that way, just simply to speed it up so that I don't have to go through 3 stakes just to get here. Here being the horse ranch. Let's see, I've got assorted stuff and junk here. Some dyes, because I'm not sure why I had the dyes here. Oh, that was right. It had to do with construction on the house. Because I was, in addition to using this place temporarily to farm dark oak, I was building a ranch house here. Yo, zombie. And this is the first major construction I've ever done using brick. Really? Get out of here. Anyway, yeah. Well, let me get some daylight here. It'll make things easier. The ranch house. As you can see, woefully unfinished. I had started working on, the last thing was a kitchen dining area, well, actually a dining area in here with this big bay window. Back porch, bay window looking out on desert. There's a desert temple over there that I have long since been through. Beyond that, there's more taiga and so on. And if certain tools like a Mist and whatnot are correct, then somewhere in the neighborhood of about 400 to 1,000 blocks that way, there is a mesa that I have never been to. As a matter of fact, I haven't been to it to the point where it's never been generated. So I'm probably going to wait until I get caught up with the version that makes mesas loaded with gold and whatnot. Just simply because if I'm going to go to a mesa, I may as well get something I can use. Like, for example, I don't know, gold for tracks. Yeah. That village, if I'm not mistaken, there is at least one house that still has villagers alive in it. And so I may do something with them sometime. And you know, it's funny, I looked at this place on the world map and it surprised me. This house is actually bigger than that whole village. How's that for crazy? Yeah. But out here, once I get done with the dark oak farming, or set up some other place for dark oak farming, out on this leveled area that I leveled myself the hard way, stables, horse breeding facilities, perhaps some kind of a test track, stuff like that. Yeah. And that's going to be a thing. Now, in terms of overworld track, there isn't one that comes out here, obviously. I'm thinking I might do an overworld track, but considering this place is intended to be a place, you know, a horse-friendly place, horse breeding and so on, a horse ranch basically, I'm thinking that what I really need to have coming out here is a roadway, a surface road. A roadway that has been prepared ahead of time the whole way so that it's horse-friendly and so on, so that you could just get on a horse and just ride all the way out here and have a roadway to guide so that you don't end up getting lost and stuff like that. I hate getting lost. Yeah. In any event, that's pretty much all of the main major places in this world. There's a few places I haven't gone to, just simply because they're not really super significant, and also there's a matter of time. I know this episode is starting to run kind of long, but I really wanted to hit all these places, not only for the situation about nether roof access and portals and coordinates and so on and so forth, but also just to kind of do a little bit of a nostalgia run in some cases, and in this case, a little bit of a looking forward, because, yeah, I want to do that road. That's going to be a huge, long project. But first, there needs to be another track coming out here, because a full sprint jump for the whole way, and you go through like 3 stakes, yeah, that's a lot. And let's see, I do have some horses here. The one with diamond armor on is the one that I've actually used occasionally. It's probably the best of the bunch, if I recall correctly. And yeah, so a lot of projects coming forward, a lot of things that are going to be updated, a lot of things that are going to be fixed up, and hopefully a lot of things that I want to get finished. I mean, really, this is not exactly what I would call a great fenced-in pasture. It's made of dirt. I mean, really, seriously, I could do better than this. A 12-year-old that's never seen a horse could do better than this. Ugh. Anyway, that's the shape of things. And if I haven't mentioned it already, there is a new overworld map on my website at tinfoilchef.com/Minecraft. On that page, there are 3 maps. one that was made in January 2012, another that was made in July of 2012, and a third one made just a few days ago that shows the entire overworld. And you can see looking at the different maps, you can see the progression. Like the very first one, it shows how the main base and spawn area used to look before biomes changed, before it started snowing there and freezing the ocean and all that. Yeah, and of course, the latest map, oh man, that sucker was huge. It's made up of like some 50,000 some odd image files in order to show the whole world that you can scroll around and zoom in on and so on. Yeah. Don't think I'm going to do that again anytime too soon. I will eventually do it again, but once Elytra happens, just imagine how big this world is going to be when Elytra happens. Yeah. You think it's big now. Watch out. In any event, thanks for watching. Take it easy. I am out of here.